Hello, Steve. How are you?
Hi, Carmela. Yeah, thanks for the interview. It's been an interesting few weeks, but it's good to catch up.
So, how long has the UFO phenomena been around? And in your opinion, what is it about biblical references to angels and cherubs, like Ezekiel quoted in the Apocrypha of the Ethiopian Bible?
Yes, some parts which were still classified or banned, should you say.
Oh,
Yeah,
I wonder why.
the Ezekiel
Yeah.
story is fascinating, the Ezekiel story.
It
Now, initially, when I got into the subject of ufology, you were kind of saying, oh, well, they tried to bring it back to, okay, 1952 was a big year, especially in the
Yeah.
US. It was known as the flying saucer era, and many people
Hmm.
saucers, discs, flying discs. And prior to that, though, we've got incidents like Roswell. Prior to that, we've got earlier incidents, maybe the Aurora incident, at the beginning of the 1900s. And we think to ourselves, okay, well, just how long does this go back for? When you come out of those current studies and you go into the biblical stuff, you see references to the phenomena. And
Mm.
you start to go back in time and you get to the point where, well, hang on a second, the phenomenon is present before Catholicism or
Yes.
Catholicism. And you think, okay, well, it's not the Catholics that sort of introduced this. They put their own spin on it, of course, but it goes back. And we go back and back and back and to the point where there's no more material because the phenomena seemingly predates historical documentation. Nobody was documenting or writing. We might have cave drawings and paintings, and some of them are questionable, of course. However, even before that, so we could say, the phenomenon has been here as long as we have, for sure. I would say maybe even predates us. Um, who knows? It's very problematic, but there's definite evidence to say that this has been going on for a tremendous length of time. The phenomenon is reared its face in many different ways. It changes with culture. It changes with belief. It changes with what your knowledge of the subject is, even. Different countries experience phenomena in different ways. But if you track the phenomena, you'll see that, okay, yeah, there are undertones that, yes, you can identify it is the phenomena. In various masks, of course, are being produced for different countries or belief
Right.
systems. But if you tear all that away, you're left with an undertone of this is the phenomena. Oh, yes. And this shows itself as something that can manipulate its appearance and us as well. So it becomes very problematic. But I believe they've been here for longer than even us, maybe.
Probably, definitely. Ah, here's a good one. Here's a classical one. Now, where do you think these UFOs and their occupants come from?
That's that is the $1 million question. What everybody's asking.
Wait.
I was, I did the same thing as everybody else in the 1980s. I went with the narrative. And the narrative back then, which had been forced down our throats for at least 30, 40 years, was that these things are extraterrestrial. They're traveling in interstellar crafts from other planets. Maybe not even in our solar system, maybe somewhere else. Who knows? And I was quite happy to accept that because it's that. But then we got tied into this whole sci-fi idea.
Yeah,
It's a bit like Star Trek, it's like
that's right.
all aliens and they all got, they might be all bipedal, but they all look different. They all coming from different worlds, got different ships, but they all got the same capabilities. And you think to yourself, it's a bit too sci-fi.
Yeah,
But as time's gone on, the narrative has changed, and we are now living in the change of the narrative. The narrative from such as extraterrestrials or ETH, the extraterrestrial hypothesis, has been dropped, and more commonly used now is NHI, non-human intelligences.
that's right.
There's even references to crypto-terrestrials, uh,
Hmm.
interdimensionals, extra-dimensionals,
Hmm.
ultra-terrestrials. I mean, there's many different names for these things, but they all represent one thing in common, that it's not the extraterrestrial hypothesis as we generally believe. Now, the
Right.
evidence coming forward now suggests, like NASA put out about 6 months ago, maybe, I mean, a bit longer, after a thorough investigation, that they're aware what UFOs are. They're aware that people see them. Some of them themselves may have done, but they might not say so. And they're aware of the video footage, military footage, civilian aircraft, people, pilots. They're aware of all this. But when they looked at the evidence of where they're coming from, they concluded there was not enough evidence to say they're extraterrestrial. Now, we know by statistics now through Project Doorway research that there's a number of UFOs seen every day around the world. So we've drawn in those statistics from other countries. Taken in consideration, it might be a lot more than we think because not all the countries participate. Some of them don't share their information. Some of them don't collate that information. Or they just
Mhm.
so we can only obtain from where we could get it, and where we got it from, we could say they're in the multiples of thousands upon thousands, to the point where we could even argue the point that a UFO is seen every pretty much from every 10 to 50 seconds at any given time around the world. And if that's the case in a 24-hour period, we're talking multiples of thousands. So, where's multiples of thousands of UFOs coming from? Well, we have satellites and we have specialized, you know, telescopes and radar systems
Yeah,
now
yeah,
that recognize disturbances in the ionosphere around
that's
planet.
right.
And if we had that superhighway, we'd be seeing it, not only see it, but we'd be able to track it. We'd be able to see the signatures of ionospheric disturbances and all sorts. Don't get me wrong. There are things seen in orbit. There are things maybe seen out there. They do traverse around a little, but I don't think it's a superhighway going backwards and forwards. We'd see it. And it's
Right.
not that. They're too deceptive. It's
Mhm.
like they're already here. They're under the ground. They're in the mountains. They're in the water. They're in the oceans. They're just out of sight because they're clever and they know to go to places which are highly remote that we don't go. They know when to track in and track out of these locations at dusk and dawn because most of the time we're asleep. They're clever. They know us inside out. And they keep away from detection on many occasions, sometimes being able
Yes.
to switch out and literally become invisible, cloaking themselves in some type of technology, which we're only capable of seeing in the infrared, sometimes stretching it into the ultraviolet. So we don't visually see them. Sometimes they disappear off radar, so they're doing something else and seem to disappear off radar. If we don't see them and don't recognize them by equipment, how do we know they're there? How do we know? That's the question. How do we know we're not there? They could be over our houses right now. We wouldn't know, because the
Oh,
average
yeah.
Joe Blogs is not going to realize. So yes, I think they are the phenomena is something else. It's not extraterrestrial. It is intelligent, of course, and is delivering this. You got to consider the amount of work and management in this global program that's happening on planet Earth for a long time, be it the abduction phenomena or interaction phenomena or whatever. But it's managed in some way. And that alone is a huge task, a huge, huge.
Yeah.
So I think these things are other. Now, I'm not going to, some people say, oh, they're all demons and stuff. I say, no, I think the demon stuff and, the diabolical things, that's another aspect of the phenomena. It's another mask, just like the
Yeah.
angels, the cupids, and the cherubs. That's a mask. The
Exactly.
Space Brothers of the 1950s. That's a mask. We have small ones, tall ones, hairy ones, long ones. There are. Well, I think I counted now. In variations of UFOs, there's over 12 million been
Oh, my
documented.
dear.
There's no blueprint. There's no base model for a UFO. Anyway.
No.
Also, there's thousands of varied entities. So,
Yeah.
okay, so we're dealing with thousands of entities, which are all different, coming from thousands of different worlds. Like it's just too sci-fi for me. I don't think that. I think
No.
that they appear to be sometimes things that we for the first time we've seen, or it's different. It's like Jacques Vallée, and he said this phenomenon is purposely delivering absurdity on purpose because people go, no one's going to ever believe that, what I've just seen.
Exactly.
Seen
Yeah.
a Bigfoot walk out of a flying saucer. And you think to yourself, yeah, right, okay, yeah, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got that old craziness from the 1950s, hasn't it? Oh, it's the rednecks and it's the people that live on farms and they don't know what they're saying and they haven't got a clue and it's all spin. No, these people are just as credible as anybody else. And the fact is that, what we realize now is that it's the other. And that's where Project Doorway specializes in. It's specializing into the area of what is the other? And what evidence is it to point towards where they're coming from and what they're doing and how long they've been here.
Hmm.
So
I
we've
find
come
it
well away from the normal
super
narrative.
interesting.
Yeah.
Super, super interesting. Do you think this phenomena that you say, you think it, you said it, lives underground, under ocean, USO? Yes, I understand. Do you think it could be, for instance, an old civilization that came here thousands and thousands of years ago before, humankind, and just planted itself within the planet
It's
to survive?
Yeah, it's a very interesting concept because if we go back in time and to our ancients and we listen very closely about the messages they left behind,
Mm.
if it's Lemuria or I think there's an Indian name, is it Shabana or something like that?
Mhm.
Places of incredible technology, underground, ancient race of beings. Shambhala, I think that have been called.
Shambhala,
Yeah.
Admiral Byrd, what he saw.
Oh, bird. We talk about the underworld in Egyptian times, we talk about the deities, from underworld, the underworld, it's below us. We'll have lots and lots of things. The devil, it's all these different references, which kind of all is very similar. And you're thinking to yourself, what did it all mean? Well, it means that there's an intelligent race of beings which
Yes.
seemingly is below us or the underworld, the underground. And there are hundreds of stories all around the world about this. This isn't just go on, it goes on in Africa as well, in places, and are
Mhm.
very associated to certain caves where there were said to be exits and entrances to these domains.
Exactly.
You know? And there's some biblical references about Jesus being taken into, not onto, but into the mountain
That's right.
to communicate with these intelligences and stuff. So it's like it's very odd. So yes, I do believe that there's a geological connection to this phenomena, and it still is. And we're recognizing it more now, but our ancients, they were trying to tell us years back, that
Definitely.
these things are around. They might not be straight in sight, but they're around. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And oh, definitely, definitely. Okay. And just on the last note, right, if you could give one piece of advice to those interested in pursuing the UFO investigations and research, what would it be, Steve?
Advice is probably not do not get consumed with the stuff that you read on the internet because there's more disinformation than information on the internet, unfortunately. Do your own work. Now, the downside of this is that sometimes certain pieces of equipment, which is really necessary to look into the areas of where we're lacking. I mean, the human being seemingly it's like it's been purposely designed to be limited with everything we experience in our senses, our hearing, our sight,
I
I
know.
mean, everything nearly on the planet's better than us. Insects, animals, pets, their senses are a lot more than ours. So it's like we've been designed to be limited. And
Hmm.
that is the case.
Addition.
Yeah. We have. It's like been dumbed down to not experience it.
Hmm.
You see a
Hmm.
tiny, tiny bit of a huge spectrum of phenomena that's operating in those areas. And we see this. We
I
need
know.
equipment to see that because it's not normal for us. That equipment sometimes is costly, or it's experimental equipment, which we've got and we've used, and it does reveal phenomena multiple times operating in areas beyond our perceptions. So
Mhm.
that can be a downside.
And what about the UITC course that we have on awakeningevents.co.uk?
Well, the UFO course, it was initially the British Investigators Training course, but then it got revamped and new information in it. And of course, now Project Doorway information is in there now. It's been compiled by, well, maybe about 20 or 30 different researchers. And I mean, the top researchers from around the world, you'd recognize their names, and they've been put it into the course. And it's about everything you want to know about if you want to come into the subject as a newcomer, a novice who wants to get into it or be part or actively be involved, Some of them don't. Some just want to be into research and find out more. It's two things. It's a course, but it's also an educational package.
Mhm.
And it goes right through to advanced levels. Now, the good thing about the UITC course is that the fact that it's not only is it the most comprehensive UFO course in the world, it's a course that doesn't end, and you don't have to keep paying for it because once you become a student and obtain a UITC course, new modules, because we are constantly learning new things about the subject, especially within Project Doorway, we're always finding new
Yeah,
stuff. It gets put
all
into
the time.
all the time. We get put into the modules and they're sent out electronically for free to the students. So it keeps them updated. And it's the
Oh,
course.
that's fantastic.
Yeah, of course, it never ends, to be honest. You purchase it one time only. If people want to actually do an examination and obtain a UITC certificate, which quite a lot of organizations around the world recognize now, then that
Oh.
they can do. That's not an issue. Some people, it's not compulsory to do it. You know, people might not want to, but we've done it. We've
Mhm.
done it for people of all ages, from 16 years of age to 70 years of age. You know, so anybody can really do the course. It's available in electronic format, so that means that
Fantastic.
go out to you electronically. Once it's paid for, bang, you'll get the lot. You'll get the whole UITC course. You'll get photographs. You'll get documents. You'll get some free software regarding astronomy. You'll get all the specialized report forms that you can utilize and use for yourself. And you have a correspondence path there so that if you need to contact us, you can do. And it keeps people up to date. It's
Hmm.
two languages. It's in English and Spanish as well. You know,
Phenomenal.
you know, so it's a very popular course. We used to tutor it in colleges and universities at one time, but the regulations of tutoring in classes only allows us to do 35 students in a class, and we had a lot more people wanting to do the course back then. So we ended up becoming a correspondent course worldwide, and it's been
Fantastic.
successful since. And it's available if you go to awakeningevents.co.uk, look across for UITC course or courses, and you can click
Mhm.
find out some of the details about the course, how to obtain it, how to register it, obtain it, or even contact us if you have further questions. So it's very popular. Yeah.
Definitely. And will you be doing any live workshops or some recorded workshops also on any of the subjects that they might want to ask?
We have done a few in the past, and when we have a number of people that show enough interest in that, then what we do, we tend to put these little seminar things together and we all connect.
Oh, great.
And it allows them to talk with myself and Barry and a number of others that have been involved in this type of work before, and ask them questions and interact and that sort of thing. So yes, we have done that before and we can do them again. That's easy. All we do is ask people to contact us to put their name on a list, and once we get to around about 10 or even more, we're happy to do that. We're always easy accessible anyway, myself and Barry and the researchers. We encourage people to contact us, if they have any queries and things about that. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, Carmela.
You take care, buddy.
Take care.
Bye-bye.